At 2:14 in the morning, my shed started screaming. Not metaphorically. An actual air raid wail erupted from the eaves. Floodlights strobed across my backyard. Across the fence, a figure in a floral cardigan froze mid-crowbar like a raccoon caught shoplifting. 2 houses over, porch lights blinked awake. 30 seconds later, dispatch pinged through my speaker, saying, "Units en route." The figure hissed something that sounded like, "Oh, come on," and tried the lock again. I sat up in bed, checked my phone again to make sure I was actually seeing this, and realized my Saturday night had just turned into dinner theater with handcuffs. I am Miles Rohr, technical writer by day, amateur luddier by night, passionate about 3 things: quiet, cedar, sawdust, and leaving other people alone. I moved to Hawthorne Bluffs in Redfield because the brochure promised tranquility with tasteful oversight. Enter HOA President Gloria Pennington. Human clipboard with a pearls-only dress code and a smile that could curdle milk. My offenses began the week I moved in. A woodshop shed that suggests commerce. A rain barrel visible from a common sidewalk, and owning a gray pickup with opinions about aesthetics. My wave is a nod. Her wave is a summons with footnotes. Gloria started with pastel courtesy reminders printed on cardstock that smelled like lavender and legal threats. The first one arrived on a Tuesday, tucked into my screen door, warning me that my shed constituted an unapproved structure modification despite having been approved by the previous board 3 years earlier. Then she advanced to fines formatted like wedding invitations, complete with calligraphy and embossed borders. $1.54 grass, exceeding 3.2 in $1.75 for a garden hose visible from the street. $100 for parking my truck in my own driveway instead of the garage, because apparently driveways are decorative. She measured my grass with a seamstress tape and left it dangling from a blade like a tiny flag of conquest. I found flyers titled "See Something, Say Something to Me" tucked under my windshield wipers, featuring a photo of my rain barrel circled in red marker. She peered over the fence to confirm non-compliant equipment, which turned out to be my clamps. I caught her on video, counting them like she was taking inventory for a sting operation. She knocked on my door at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to inform me that my beagle had barked twice the previous evening, violating the noise ordinance she had personally drafted. When I installed a motion alarm in the shed, complete with cellular auto dialer that routes straight to police dispatch, Gloria called it hostile architecture during an emergency board meeting. I was not invited to, but heard about from 3 separate neighbors who texted me screenshots. The board group chat, which I was accidentally added to for 3 glorious days before being removed, buzzed with her updates. "We suspect illegal woodworking. He has too many tools for a hobby. Monitoring daily." Reader, I was legally woodworking. I had a business license, proper zoning approval, and a tax ID number. I was also building exactly 1 violin per year for myself, which is the least commercial venture imaginable, unless you count breathing. The night of the screaming shed, Gloria decided to escalate from surveillance to burglary with a side of civic theater. Wearing her signature floral cardigan-like camouflage and carrying bolt cutters that gleamed under the streetlight, she hopped my fence with surprising agility for someone who complains about speed bumps at every board meeting. Security footage later showed her checking her watch, adjusting her pearls, and approaching my shed like she was entering a bank vault. She strutted to the shed, examined the lock for approximately 8 seconds, then positioned the bolt cutters with the focus of a surgeon. The moment she popped the hasp, the motion alarm triggered. The siren wailed at a frequency designed to wake the dead and annoy the living. The floodlights kicked on, bathing the entire backyard in light bright enough to perform surgery. The camera started recording in high-def color, and the auto dialer placed a call to the non-emergency line that upgrades automatically to 911 if the breach continues for 15 seconds. Gloria applied exactly 16 seconds of determination, rummaging through my tools like she was shopping at a hardware store clearance sale. 2 cruisers arrived so fast the hydrangeas leaned sideways from the draft. The officers emerged with flashlights and expressions that suggested they had expected something more dramatic than a woman in business casual holding woodworking tools. She told the officers she was conducting an HOA inspection, which he said with the confidence of someone who believes bylaws are actual laws with enforcement power. Officer number 1, a tall woman with a look that suggested she had seen everything twice, asked, "At 2 o'clock in the morning?" Officer number 2 pointed at the no trespassing 24/7 recording sign that glowed politely under a motion-activated light I had installed specifically for moments like this. The shed camera live-streamed Gloria holding my bolt cutters like they were auditioning for evidence, which they were. She tried to explain, but the officers had already watched the footage on a squad tablet. One of them replayed the part where she pried the lock 3 times. Neighbors gathered in robes and slippers, forming a semicircle of suburban judgment in my driveway and spilling onto the sidewalk. Mrs. Chen, from 2 houses down, had her phone out, recording. The Johnsons brought their teenage son, who looked thrilled to witness drama at 2 o'clock in the morning. Someone had made popcorn. I stepped out with a robe, slippers, and a very awake beagle who seemed thrilled by the chaos, and immediately began greeting everyone like we were hosting a party. The officers played the footage again on the squad tablet, holding it up so the gathering crowd could see Gloria breaching the fence, walking purposefully across my lawn, rummaging through my workspace with the confidence of someone who believed she had every right to be there, and holding up my hand-carved violin top like she had discovered contraband Stradivarius spruce. She examined it under her phone's flashlight, turned it over, and set it down before moving to my tool chest. The timestamp on the video read 2:13 a.m. She tried to pivot, saying he is running a business in there, which he delivered with an indignant tone that suggested I was manufacturing controlled substances instead of musical instruments. She gestured toward the shed like a prosecutor presenting evidence. The officer clicked play one more time, zooming in on the bolt cutters in her hand. The part where she pried my lock with bolt cutters did not scream zoning concern. It screamed felony with criminal intent and premeditation. They took a brief statement from me while I stood there in flannel pajama pants and a robe, answering questions about my security system and confirming that no, I had not given Gloria permission to enter my property at any time, let alone at 2 in the morning, with tools designed to cut through metal. They bagged the cutters as evidence in a clear plastic bag that caught the floodlight like a trophy. They cuffed her gently while she sputtered about community standards and property values. and how she was just trying to protect the neighborhood. The board treasurer, who had followed the sirens and pajama pants and a Notre Dame sweatshirt, quietly texted the HOA attorney and then stood there watching with his arms crossed and an expression that suggested he was done with this nonsense. My beagle sneezed with righteous timing, and someone in the crowd laughed. Mrs. Chen asked if she could share her video on the neighborhood app. I told her to feel free. Court day arrived like a matinee showing of justice. The district attorney, a sharp woman in her 40s with a folder thick enough to stop a bullet, lined up charges: criminal trespass, attempted burglary, possession of burglary tools, and false reporting, because Gloria had also dialed 911 that night, claiming active criminal activity at my address. The criminal activity was me sleeping. The courtroom smelled like floor polish and consequences. The judge, a woman in her 60s with reading glasses on a chain and the energy of someone who does not suffer nonsense, watched the shed camera video twice. The first viewing was silent, except for Gloria's attorney objecting twice and being overruled both times. The second time, she turned on closed captions so everyone could read, Gloria muttering about property values while wielding bolt cutters. Gloria sat at the defense table in a navy suit that probably cost more than my shed, looking like she was attending a board meeting instead of a criminal trial. Her attorney, a younger man who kept glancing at his watch like he had somewhere better to be, tried to argue that she had executive authority under the covenants and conditions of the HOA. He presented a binder of bylaws with colored tabs. He referenced Section 7, Subsection 4, about property inspections. The judge leaned forward and said in a tone that could freeze coffee, "Covenants are not criminal statutes, and HOA presidents are not deputized." At midnight, the attorney sat down so fast his chair squeaked. The district attorney played more footage. Gloria testing my door handle at 9 p.m. the week before. Gloria taking photos of my truck with a tape measure. Gloria leaving a citation on my door for unauthorized window boxes that were actually on my neighbor's house 2 doors down. The jury looked increasingly uncomfortable. One juror in the back row shook his head slowly. The verdict came fast. Guilty on criminal trespass and possession of burglary tools. The attempted burglary charge was reduced to criminal mischief.